Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about how falsely manufactured the crisis of books being banned, by parents who don't want their kids to read certain books is, and how um, just manufactured this whole crisis and outrage is. So, there are a lot of parents out there who, quite frankly, are trying to get books banned. They shouldn't be banned, but, there's a recent study done that showed that only 20% of the book ban requests across the country have been by parents. The others have been by activist groups who are often made up of a lot of parents, but still, a lot of these activist groups are big nationwide ones that don't even have connections to the schools or communities where they're banning books. And so activist groups and politicians, elected officials, make up together 80% of book ban requests. Only the other 20% are parents. This just goes to show parents trying to get books banned, especially books that shouldn't be banned, really isn't that huge of a problem. It's these big nationwide groups that are part of the nonprofit, money-making kind of machine that unfortunately has come up, especially since Citizens United, and far-right elected politicians who think that they'll score some points with their base by banning some books. And so many books that are being banned are books that absolutely shouldn't be banned. Books that are in no way pornographic or salacious or anything inappropriate that kids should be reading. Some books that have been requested to be banned, books like The Color Purple and The Bluest Eye, 1984. These are all books that have been requested to be banned. Of Mice and Men, Catcher in the Rye. These are books that most of us who are, older than like 20, 25 years old have had to read in school. I had to read The Catcher in the Rye, Of Mice and Men. I didn't have to read The Bluest Eye, but I read that for a project, and it does contain some subjects that are rough to read, but, I read it when I was a teenager, and by then you're immature enough to read a book like that. And all these books, the books I just named, are quintessential pieces of literature, books that deepen your understanding of humanity, of society, deepen your empathy for marginalized people. There's no reason, not even one tiny iota of a reason that you can actually come up with that's legitimate for banning these books. And so I just want people to know that it's not individual parents who are banning most of these books. And, those of you who are pro-book banning, just know that you really don't have that many allies amongst actual regular day-to-day parents. It's these big, nationwide sketchy nonprofits with weird, dark funding and MAGA right-wing politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene that are doing most of this stuff. It's, the people that are on the wrong side of history that you are with if, you're pro banning a lot of these books. There never was a problem with loads and loads of pornography being in schools. That's just a completely false assumption. You'll never find any real, actual case where a school was just flooded with pornography books. And I hear MAGA people saying that this is the case all the time, and they've got no evidence. They've got no proof of this. It's infuriating to hear them just make stuff up that is completely contrary to reality. So anyway, I'll stop my rant, but just know that we need to fight against these politicians and these organizations banning books, and let them know that by and by, most parents still do not stand with them.